Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 hour time frame for Bitcoin. And after that, I'm going to zoom out a bit to the higher time frames. However, for now, we should talk about this symmetrical triangle pattern for Bitcoin, because this is setting up a bullish as well as a bearish price target, depending on which way we actually break out. Now, a symmetrical triangle pattern is a consolidation pattern, so it doesn't have a bullish or bearish bias. Therefore, if we were to break above this descending line of resistance, currently sitting at about 105.2K, then it would set up this price target of about 112.5 thousand US dollars in the Bitcoin price. However, if we were to now reject and get this move to the downside, breaking this level of support sitting at about 103.1K, then we actually get this price target to the downside sitting all the way as low as 95.5K in the Bitcoin price. As with any breakout, it is important to understand the basics of trading a breakout, because in the case that we would break out above, then we would have this breakout point being at, for example, 105,000 US dollars. Now, if from there the Bitcoin price reverses and gets candle closes below the point of the breakout, then the pattern is actually invalidated. That bullish breakout is actually invalidated, meaning that this bullish price target is no longer active, and it makes sense to actually close out your trade at that point. And of course, the same also counts for this breakout to the downside. However, in that case, you would get a break down below, have the point of the breakout right here. And for example, if we were to then reverse, getting candle closes above the point of the breakout, it would then technically invalidate that breakout, meaning we would have to cross off that bearish price target. One more thing with this symmetrical triangle pattern is the fact that it can break out to both sides. So sometimes what you will see is actually a fake out, for example, to the upside, followed by invalidation, coming back inside the pattern here, and then breaking to the downside. And yes, of course, the inverse of this can also be possible, but it is important to understand that this is a possibility and something to look out for. So therefore, do take it seriously if you see that invalidation happening, because sometimes seeing the bullish invalidation can actually be a bearish catalyst to then end up breaking to the downside. Or, of course, the opposite can happen the other way around. Now, of course, this is not financial advice. I'm simply telling you what I'm seeing in the charts, and you can do with that information what you like. Either way, zooming out to this 4-hour time frame, you can see that we are still technically just holding above this ascending trend line here. And this is acting as a level of support, currently sitting at about 101.1K. And as far as I'm concerned, so long as we are holding above that, Bitcoin is simply in an uptrend. And I am expecting higher price action for Bitcoin at some point, where, of course, if we were to lose that as a level of support, then I would start looking for lower price action after that. For example, all the way down to this descending trend line, which is currently sitting at about 99,000 US dollars. And I do think I should note that as well. Like, for example, if we do get the breakout to the downside, make sure you understand that there is some short-term support at the very least right here on that blue trend line that I just mentioned. So if you're going to be shorting this move, make sure to pay close attention if we are trading around this level here, because you could see a bit of a bounce or maybe even an invalidation of that bearish breakout. So that's just a couple of things to pay attention to in the charts. Besides that, if we take a look at the RSI momentum indicator on the 4-hour time frame, this is still simply in a downtrend. And so long as we are in this downtrend, the Bitcoin momentum is simply weakening. So therefore, before we can start talking about potentially seeing another move to the upside, at the very least, we'd have to break this descending line of resistance, because then we are opening up the door to more price action to the upside once again. And for me personally, taking this trade, if I'm seeing a breakout to the upside in this symmetrical triangle pattern, I would also be looking for a breakout to the upside of this descending line of resistance in the RSI, just as another level of confluence and to have a bit more confidence in that trade. Besides that, on this 1-day time frame, Bitcoin is actually still below this previous high, sitting at about 106,000 in the Bitcoin price. So for now, this area here between 104.5 and 106,000 is acting as a short-term area of resistance on that daily time frame. But in my personal opinion, if we get a daily candle close above 106K, potentially like 107, for example, that would be a bullish confirmation on the higher time frame once again, pointing towards much higher price action for Bitcoin after that. But so long as that is not the case, then be open to the possibility of another move down to this area of support, sitting between 100 and 99,000. If we are just taking a look at the market structure in general, though, we have a low here, a high, a horizontal low, then a higher low, and another higher high after that. So as far as I'm concerned, this is just an uptrend. And so long as we are not breaking below these previous lows at about 100,000 with confirmed candle closes, then Bitcoin is simply in an uptrend on the 1-day time frame. Next, taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and notice how we have some liquidity to the upside, for example, at 107.5K, with most of the liquidity being at 110,000. But at the same time, we also have liquidity at about 103K, and even liquidity as low as 100K in the Bitcoin price. And the reason I'm pointing your attention towards this is because this is exactly what you would expect from a symmetrical triangle pattern, because like I said, it is a consolidation type pattern. So over time, more and more liquidity is going to pile up to the upside as well as to the downside until it eventually breaks out and then will sweep the liquidity. And that's why I said be wary of potential fake outs here, because sometimes you will see a big move to the downside, sweep a bunch of that short-term liquidity, but then from there actually reverse and actually end up taking out all of the short positions out of the market as well, potentially reaching that price target. Okay, so that's just an example, but I wanted to point your attention towards that, just in case we see something like that happen in the charts. Next, let's take a quick look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables. Yesterday, we saw a net inflow of over $800 million into the Bitcoin ETFs, most of that coming from the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. So as long as these Bitcoin ETFs keep buying hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin every single weekday, this is going to have an upwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. Either way, this has been today's market update. One last thing, if you want to get access to my real-time analysis in the form of my trading signals, you can do so completely for free simply by joining the Road to 1 Million Discord community, which you can find the link to in the video description. And once you're in here and verified, you simply go to this trading signals access channel, and from there, you follow these 3 steps to get access to my trading signals completely for free. But regardless, if you do end up joining or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.